Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Hattan Alghamdi from the grade 9A class, and I'm here just to give you a brief summary and tell you about the things that I enjoyed most in the Romeo and Juliet story. And it was written by William Shakespeare, who is a very famous poet. And one of the main things was Romeo and Juliet's intense and passionate romance, and how they fell in love and agreed to marry in the first day, and also the perspective of Romeo and Juliet and how they filled each other with thoughts of each other, and also the obstacles that they faced. And of course, one of the biggest ones was their families. They were from feuding families, which made their love even more impossible. Romeo was from the Montague house, and Juliet was from the Capulet house, and it caused very big problems because they had to do the marriage in secret, which led to decisions that were taken by haste and which led to their untimely demise. And another thing was the characters. The characters were the best part. Each one of them had a purpose, and they were all differentiated wonderfully. And one of the most noticeable bonds was Romeo and Friar Lawrence. Their relationship was he was like a father figure to Romeo, and I would even say he was more of a father than Romeo's biological father, because he knew about Rosaline, which was Romeo's previous lover before Juliet. And he also, every time Romeo needed help or needed advice or needed a favor, he would always go to Friar. And also Friar, in some passages, he would call Romeo as son. And Juliet and the nurse. And the nurse was like her caretaker and one of the servants in the house. And she was very caring. She had a very caring character. And she was also very advisable and really slowing down Juliet's thoughts. And she was like a mother to her. And again, for me, she was more of a mother to Juliet than, even Juliet's biological mother, because there was this one scene where, I believe it was Act 3, Scene 3, where Juliet's father was scolding Juliet, and he was telling her that she had to go on with the wedding with Paris, which was the man she was ought to marry. And she's crying, and she's saying no, and the mother does not step in. Maybe it was out of fear or out of hesitation, but the nurse comes running through, and she tells Juliet's father that he's in the wrong, and then the mother steps in. But it shows that, the mother was, she was too scared to go in, but, the nurse did not hesitate because she had a bigger connection to Juliet. And there were more characters also that I'm going to get into, but there was also a character foil, which was between Romeo and Tybalt. And Tybalt was Juliet's cousin from the Capulet house. And pretty much, the way William Shakespeare differentiates between them in the first scene is beautiful. And how he differentiates between them is that in the first scene, in the beginning, Tybalt starts a fight with members of the Montague house, and he's instigating it even after the members are trying to, not trying to get into a fight, but ultimately they have. And meanwhile, Romeo is speaking with Benvolio about love and about Rosaline, and that shows how Tybalt is instigative, and he's violent and just pretty much looking for fights and violence. He can't compose his anger. And Romeo is more passionate and more gentle. And also, it goes also from their dress, their colors, their appearance. Tybalt wears blue, and he has long, ragged hair, and he's pale. And it shows he has a threatening look, where Romeo is more gentle. He has a more gentle look and a friendly look, and he wears red. And also another thing were Romeo's friend Mercutio. He was sort of a comedic relief to Romeo. He would ease Romeo's thoughts when Romeo was just filled with. He would ease Romeo's mind with comedy when Romeo was just filled with thoughts and thinking about making risky decisions, and Benvolio was less confrontational. He was, he kept himself, and he was also helpful to Romeo. And another thing with the morals of the story, there were plenty in the story, and I think that goes for any book. Any book can have an impact on your life and teach you many lessons. And one of them was that whenever you're in a situation and you want to do something, well, in this context was get married. Romeo wanted to get married to Juliet, is not to rush into it. You have to be thoughtful, and you have to make decision making. That goes for anything, and that was one of Romeo's problems. Even when Juliet, she was given a potion by Friar Lawrence to avoid the wedding, and it would pretty much make it seem like she was dead. And Romeo was supposed to get a letter, but he didn't, through some unfortunate events, and he immediately went and bought a poison to kill himself. And if in the last seconds Juliet woke up, so if he was less impulsive, and that was one of his biggest character flaws, he would have been, the story would have ended well. And also another moral of the story was the relationships between the Friar Lawrence and the nurse, is that they were more parental to Romeo and Juliet than even their own parents, and it shows that family isn't just blood. And that's one of the things I enjoyed about the story, and there are plenty more, but that is it. Thank you.